Welcome, welcome, welcome to a premiere. Yep, I told you that I might not make it here, and I decided I would record it because I just didn't want to risk missing out on stories when I am off up at Fort Worden. So I thought it's a good time to record a story for you since I went to the library and I got so many. So I hope you're all having a good time and get to talk to each other. But tonight I have a very special book, and then I've got another little bonus at the end of this. And so I'm going to start by reading in the back of the book about the authors and illustrators, because I think this particular book, they have it just down to what we as artists and lover of children's literature will like. And plus, I bet you there's most of you who will like the person this story is about, because you'll all have some little bit of a story to go with something she was involved in. So the two authors are Amy Guglielmo. When she isn't coloring outside the lines, she likes to write about art and artists. Amy is the co-author of the Touch the Art series, and she and her husband divide their time between the shores of Costa Rica and Lake Champlain. She usually keeps tangerine orange in her pocket. I thought that was great. Now, Jacqueline Tourville, the other author, still remembers the first time she mixed yellow and blue crayon scribbles and miraculously made green. The author of the picture book Albie's First Word, a tale inspired by Albert Einstein's childhood, and numerous books for grown-ups, Jacqueline lives with her husband and two children on the coast of Maine. Her favorite color is periwinkle blue. And the illustrator, Bridget Berriger, is an artist, designer, writer, and New York Times best-selling author of children's books, including Uni the Unicorn by Amy Krauss Rosenthal. She attended the California Institute of the Arts, where she earned herself a degree in character animation. Bridget spent some time working in animation before taking the plunge into book illustration, where she's lived happily ever after. She resides with her handsome husband, cute doggy, and terrible cat in Los Angeles. She loves color relationships best, but if she had to pick a favorite color, she'd choose pink. I love that about the description about them when they talked about that what the person, and they include their favorite color. I thought that was just a great thing to do. So the name of the book tonight is called A Pocket Full of Colors: The Magical World of Mary Blair. Do you know who she is? Mary Blair, Disney artist extraordinaire. And I think I'm going to start by reading the author's note, perhaps. Let me just check. You know what? Nope, I'm going to read the book and then I'll read the author's note, because it's always kind of fun to see what you get from the book and how it relates to what the author's notes were thinking of afterwards. So here we go with, oops. There we go. I had you on the wrong spot there for a minute. Pocket Full of Colors: The Magical World of Mary Blair, Disney Artist Extraordinaire, by Amy Guglielmo and Jacqueline Tourville, illustrated by Bridget Berriger. It's really got some great illustrations. Let's get... There we go. Pocket Full of Colors. I like the color. Under a wide blue sky, on a red dirt road in a lemon yellow house there lived a little girl named Mary. Other children collected marbles or dolls, but Mary collected colors, every shade and every hue. One day, Mary's parents announced that they were moving out west. As she waved goodbye to the yellow house, Mary tucked her friend Lemon in her pocket. Mary would miss the happy home, but she had new colors to collect. Driving across the sun-bleached desert, Mary spied russet, taupe, and sienna. When she arrived in California, she glimpsed the azure ocean and found groves of golden fruit dipping from viridian trees. In the city, she discovered steel gray buildings and mauve-tinted skies. Mary opened her sketchbook. She mixed her paints. She would save these shades for just the right time. When she was older, Mary went to art school. She met Lee. He showed her rosy pink and blushing red, and she kept those colors in her heart. Together, Lee and Mary painted rainbows, but it was the Great Depression, and people were poor. No one was buying rainbows except one place. Mary landed a job at Walt Disney Studios, one of the first women to be hired. Finally, a place for her colors to run and dance and play as they pleased. There's Mary. Disney Ave, Mickey Street, animation, in between, layout department, special effects, ink and paint, Hollywoodland. Oh. But on her first day of work, the men in charge didn't want to talk about cerulean or celadon or cerise. They were only interested in black and white. Mary was told to follow the rules. Some more light. She tried, but her colors were too vivid, too wild. When Mary turned in her work, her ideas were rejected. Twinkling emerald skies, the men turned them blue. Magenta horses that could fly, the men made them brown and put them in a stable. Peach giraffes with tangerine streaks. Her bosses just shook their heads. They didn't want to know. They didn't know what to make of her art. But Walt, the man who owned the company, did. He loved her colors so much. He asked Mary to join him on a trip to South America to meet some new ones. Oh my. Mary delighted in the colors of Brazil, Argentina, and Peru. She worked hard to capture the vibrant scenery. When it was time to go home, Mary's bag burst with fuchsia, teal, aquamarine, indigo, lime green, and banana yellow. After Mary returned to Disney, her concept art for the studio's upcoming films grew even more adventurous. As she drew upon the eye-popping shades she'd observed in South America, Cinderella needed a teal pumpkin coach. The caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland could only be aquamarine, and the mermaids in Peter Pan simply had to be lime green. This time, some of Mary's ideas were accepted, but most of her art was still considered too modern, too abstract, and just not right. Mary's colors encouraged her to leave the men with their black lines and strict rules. So she did. Mary quickly found new work, designing advertisements, illustrating picture books for children, and creating sets for plays and television commercials. She enjoyed the freedom of these new jobs, but she missed Walt. Then one day, out of the blue, her phone rang. It was Walt. "Mary, I have a project for you. I need your wild, beautiful colors," his voice boomed. Walt explained his idea to build a magical ride that would teach people about cultures from around the world. The ride had to be full of color, which meant there was only one person for the job. "Mary, you know about colors I've never even heard of before." Mary smiled, and then she frowned as she remembered the rules and the lines and the men in charge who didn't understand her colors or style of art. There was only one way to answer. "Yes," said Mary, but her yes came with a condition. This time, Mary wanted to be the one in charge. Walt welcomed her on board. Mary's paints seemed to sparkle. When she hung up the phone, she had never been to places like China or Morocco or Kathmandu, but her colors had. Sitting down to work, she squeezed out dabs of paint. Lemon yellow, aquamarine and azure, mauve, taupe, tangerine, russet, sienna and steel gray, celadon, cerulean, cerise, magenta, teal, indigo, and emerald shine from her palette. And when she picked up her brush, the colors Mary had so carefully collected all her life took her on a trip around the globe. When the work was done and the ride opened, people gasped in awe. "It's a Small World" was a sensation. When it was Mary's turn to take the ride, she leaned back in the boat and let her colors wash over her. It was a world of laughter, a world of smiles, and color, color everywhere. This, at last, was Mary's world. And that is the story, Pocketful of Colors, the magical world of Mary Blair, Disney artist extraordinaire, responsible for It's a Small, Small World. Here is the author's note. Looking back, we're pretty sure it was during a conversation about It's a Small, Small World when we realized our mutual admiration for the art and design of Mary Blair. While her whimsically colorful style, found everywhere from classic Disney films to little golden books, is easy to recognize, not many people recognize her name. And even fewer know about Mary Blair's determination to use her visionary talent to the fullest. When Mary began working for Walt Disney Studios in 1940, her job was to create preliminary sketches to guide the look and feel of the studio's animated films. Her sketches were handed off to the 9 Old Men, the nickname for Disney's core group of supervising animators who created some of Disney's first major works, including Snow White and pioneered many of the rules and guiding principles of animation that are still in use today. Mary drafted sketches for Dumbo, an early version of Lady and the Tramp, and a sequel to Fantasia that was never produced. Her supervisors rejected virtually all of her colorful and modern designs. After one frustrating year on the job, Mary quit. However, in the brief time she was there, Mary made a true friend at Disney Studios, Walt Disney himself. Walt was so impressed with her colorful style that he invited Mary to join El Grupo, the select group of Disney illustrators who toured and sketched in South America in 1941 as part of a U.S. Goodwill tour. Mary rejoined Disney Studios as an art director upon her return from the tour. She worked on The Three Caballeros, a film inspired by the animator's strip. And this time, Mary's concept sketches a playful little train chugging its way through the vibrantly shaded jungle made its way to the screen. Heartened by this success, Mary continued on, and although a handful of her breathtaking designs were incorporated into classic films like Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan, once again, most of Mary's ideas were considered too abstract and even too colorful. When Mary decided to leave Disney Studios again in 1953, she had little trouble finding more work. Moving to New York, Mary became an in-demand commercial artist, Broadway set designer, and picture book illustrator. Her little golden book, I Can Fly, by Ruth Krauss, is still in print today. Mary had become a very busy artist. But when Walt called her up to design that special ride for the 1964 World's Fair, she couldn't refuse his incredible offer. Finally free to create the art she wanted, Mary's palette overflowed. As fellow Disney artist Raleigh Crump, an artist on the It's a Small World project, said, "I don't think she mixed paint very much. She used all and every color. That's the thing I learned from her. Don't be afraid of color, Raleigh." When Mary Blair died in 1978, it seemed like her art would end up as a footnote in the history of Walt Disney Studios. This began to change as emerging animators rediscovered Disney's golden age, and with it, Mary Blair. In 2008, Mary Blair was named a Disney legend. And 2 years later, a Google Doodle was published honoring what would have been Mary's 100th birthday. In 2014, the Walt Disney Family Museum hosted the first retrospective of her work. Room after colorful room burst with Mary's joyful, exuberant art, it became clear what Mary had created during her lifetime. Pure magic. I remember writing on It's a Small World. It wasn't when we went there when I was a little kid because it wasn't open yet. It must have been later on when I went back in high school on a singing tour with a group. And oh my goodness, it was just fanciful. It was absolutely wonderful. Anyway, that book is called A Pocket Full of Colors: The Magical World of Mary Blair, Disney artist extraordinaire. Oh, I just love it. Well, I do have one other little book for you, so hang on. So this book is by the amazing Eric Carle. And as you guys remember, I went to the Eric Carle Picture Book Museum back in New York. It was actually in, it's not in Amesbury, it's someplace else. Anyway, I can't remember right now, but it was just fabulous. I just enjoyed myself so much, and what he's done for picture books and the museum is so amazing. But he was born in the United States, but grew up in Germany, where he spent his boyhood during World War II. And there, his high school art teachers secretly showed him works of the so-called degenerative artists. These artists, banned by the Nazi regime, were actually the leading masters of modern and abstract art, among them Franz Marc, whose work was not permitted to be shown in public. This early experience convinced Eric Carle that children ought not to be inhibited by conventional rules, but instead should be encouraged to express their natural talents freely and joyfully. And this is a book about giving kids confidence in their own creativity in any way, shape, or form, whether it's coloring outside the lines or making an your sky green, or by being an artist who painted a blue horse. So here it is, the artist who painted a blue horse. Look at this. I saw this mural when I was at the Eric Carle Museum. Oh my gosh. This is a very short book. I am an artist and I paint a blue horse and a red crocodile and a yellow cow and a pink rabbit and a green lion and an orange elephant and a purple fox and a black polar bear and a polka dotted donkey. I am a good artist. This is Franz Marc, Blue Horse 1 in 1911. I'm going to expand that. Focus in on that so you guys can see it. Let's go to, get it closer for you. There you go. Oh, maybe. Yeah, look at that. So it says that Franz Marc was born in Germany in 1880. He loved to paint animals in bright and unusual colors. At the time, some traditionalist critics objected to his new ideas and his unconventional paintings, stylized in form and unrealistic in color. But Marc and some other like-minded artists formed an art group that was highly influential in the modern and expressionist movements. His paintings of blue horses are particularly famous. Franz Marc was killed in World War I. In the pocket of his uniform was found a sketchbook with 36 pencil drawings that, as he wrote to his wife, he was planning to make into oil paintings upon his return. And as it said about Eric Carle being born, he goes on and says, but one day when Eric was 12 or 13 years old, his art teacher, Herr Kraus, secretly showed him some of the forbidden art. I like the freedom and the looseness in the way you draw and paint, he said, but I am only permitted to teach realistic art. And pointing to the reproductions, he went on, just look at the looseness, the freedom, and the beauty of these paintings. The Nazis have no idea what art is. They are charlatans. At first, young Eric was shocked by the art and feared that Herr Kraus had gone mad. Now, Eric says, my green lion, polka-dotted donkey, and other animals painted in the wrong colors were really born that day, 70 years ago. Oh. the artist who painted a blue horse. So I went back and looked in some of my old pictures of when I went to the Eric Carle Museum, and it was in Albany, New York. And I have just a quick little video to show you of some of his work. It has just 3 pieces of his animals that are so famous. It has his green crocodiles, and his blue elephants, and his monkey, and they're all very, very famous. I'm going to show you this real quick to add to the whole thing with that Eric Carle. Let me see if I can get this to go for you. Just those. That's them. Not much of a video, but that's what they are. They're just so beautiful. Let me see if I can get it a little brighter. They're painted and collaged, and his work is a combination of collage. He paints the paper and then he collages, and just so cool. So cool. I just loved it. So I hope you guys liked that today, to have those 2 books for story time tonight. And I'm off on my art retreat. I know I'm having a good time in the evening now. Hopefully it is gorgeous, and I'm watching the sunset out across Puget Sound. I'm right up on the I'm at Fort Worden, which is kind of at the corner of the Olympic Peninsula, the northeast corner of the Olympic Peninsula. So I look out across and I can see Vancouver Island, and I can look across and see Whidbey Island also, and Vancouver Island in Canada. So it's a beautiful place. I'm sure it's, no matter whether it's bad weather or good weather, it's still absolutely beautiful, and I'm excited to be there. But I'm glad I was able to do this story for you guys. So until next time, everybody, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the Story and Art Tribe, and for all you do to make my day. But until next time, everybody, keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around. But the first place you'll find it is if you go look in the mirror. And I'll see you next time.
Not you, not her, not him or them gonna stop me from getting mine now. Not you, not her, not him or them gonna silence my rising inner child. And every time I look up in the sky, I know it'll be alright. Yeah. And every time I look up in the sky, I know it'll be alright. Yeah. Yeah, gotta get mine.